right, guys, welcome back to the ALGS channel. Hope you guys are all doing well and having a great day so far. We have got a good bit to discuss in today's video, and this is our first video ever where we're doing no editing. Every editing thing that you see on the channel or on the video is all done live by me by clicking some buttons. I set it all up today so I don't have to actually edit it. I don't have to put the music up or anything like that. It's all in OBS. This is a super complicated process that I got set up right now, so hopefully it all goes pretty smoothly. But like I said, we got a lot to discuss in today's video regarding not only roster changes, some surprise roster changes that were happening, another roster change that was about to happen but then it all changed because the other roster change happened. Someone is coming back into the Apex scene that was formerly doing pretty well in the year 2 Apex Legends Global Series, and they retired for a bit. Now they're coming back, so a lot of exciting stuff in this one. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys want to stay up to date all things Apex Legends esports related. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into this. First thing I wanted to mention, by the way, that little subscribe animation once again was live, not edited in. I just have to click a button, so it's pretty cool. This little new format we got going. First off, though, the scores for the international scrims. Obviously, people want to know how things are going, because obviously we know that players are not just kind of sitting idle right now waiting for things to happen. They're also scrimming, they're also practicing, and so there are some international scrims that are going on. I think these are happening like somewhat at like LAN. Like I know a lot of people are already over there in London. They're already like basically getting set up, they're getting ready to play. So a lot of people are playing like on somewhat of a LAN environment to do these scrimmages on. There may be some teams that aren't all here, I'm not exactly sure, but nonetheless, I know like Oxygen, obviously those guys are already together. So Oxygen, 100 Thieves, Moist, Dark Zero, like you see a lot of teams in here, of course, but like I said, not every team is in here, and these are a lot of teams that are just basically trying to get as much practice as they can. And within this group, of course, it's not as stacked. Oxygen Esports, 100 Thieves at the very tip top of that, and I gotta say Oxygen is really doing well in their practices right now. And I'm not saying that I'm like super surprised, because I know they're a crack team, but I wasn't really expecting this sort of dominance coming out of Oxygen. I was really thinking, maybe top 10, we'll see how they do. But like I said, though, you do have some other teams you got to basically take into consideration here. TSM's not in this. A couple other teams are not in this. NRG's not in this. A lot of the powerhouse teams are not playing in this. So, of course, take it with a grain of salt. But nonetheless, still pretty impressive. You got your Optics, your Fire Beavers, your Pioneers, some others as well. So we'll see how Oxygen Esports, 100 Thieves, Moist, Dark Zero, a couple others as well perform in a couple of days. We are literally approaching the LAN event in just 3 days or so, so it's going to be pretty exciting. And then right after that, we're going right into the LCQ as well, which a lot of other pro teams will be playing in that did not qualify for the champs event yet. Also wanted to mention Apex Legends FaZe new head coach is not going to be PvP. A lot of people thought that maybe, and I included, thought PvP might be the new coach, considering he got dropped from Dark Zero, the North American regional champions, and you would consider that he's probably the most sought after coach, right? Well, Dark Zero picked up FaZe's old coach, and then FaZe did not sign PvP like we thought, but actually signed Dan. And Dan is someone who's been around the block for quite a bit, got a lot of accolades to some degree as well, and people are really respective of Dan, and people like Dan. I think he's a good leader, so I think it's going to be interesting to see. But I'm kind of still concerned as to where you're going to see PvP go. Now, I do have some inkling there is some intel that's going on behind the scenes I obviously can't talk of yet that I do know, but I don't really know. It's not solidified, it's not like 100%, but there are some talks about where PvP might land himself. But nonetheless, this is an interesting change for FaZe, especially last minute. They're literally getting ready for the LAN event as we speak with a brand new coach. Also wanted to mention the roster changes of the night, the roster changes of the week. I don't think many people saw this coming, although I will say I do think it needed to come. Not specifically Keon, but just in general, a roster change for the Sentinels roster. Yes, they have decided. RKN posted, actually, let's start with Keon first, because I think this kind of gives better context. Keon had posted, just had the news broken to me that I am being dropped from Sentinels Apex. With that being said, I am a free agent and open to offers for all future comp going forward. Now, let's talk about a few possibilities. But before we do, let's talk about what RKN had to say. Unfortunately, today, I must announce the release of Keon from Sentinels Apex. We are still cool with each other. There's no ill will. This is the first time in my career I've personally made this kind of roster change. Keon was a great teammate, but even better friend, which makes it so much harder to do this. With LCQ coming up, Boom TV, 50K finals, and champs in the future, we didn't feel like we would have a better time to do this. I don't think an explanation is necessary, but I do think it's something that the community is always looking for. The last 5 months for Keon and I have been rough, and we've powered through some real low areas competitively. Everyone always says that you don't know what goes off stream, and it's true. Ultimately, we never agreed on how to play the game, even though we were winning consistently in split 1. He does not enjoy it and has not committed to it, which is okay. Adaptations I've made and we have made as a team to create better environment for everyone only made things worse for us. We were plagued by issues out of control during the split as well. Of course, I would assume, talking about, the whole roster changes and people retiring, people quitting, people coming back, all this kind of stuff. We were plagued by all these issues, basically out of our control during the split as well, which kept adding weight onto us as well. Now, on top of everything, we are completely barred with scrims for the last 2 weeks because we aren't recognized as an LCQ team until after playoff 2 ends. We wanted to use this week and next week to continue working towards a non-roster solution, but wasn't afforded that community. I don't want to freaking re-edit it. No, this was supposed to be all in one take. Okay, bear with me here. We wanted to use this week and next week to continue working towards a non-roster solution, but wasn't afforded that opportunity. That makes total sense. I just can't read. I was raised in the South, low IQ, within the constraints of the deadlines and respect to other teams / Keon in not doing this last second. It has to be done or not at all. It has to be done now or not at all, which I kind of agree. I think obviously if you're going to go in with your best foot forward, you don't want to change roster right before the LCQ. Get it now. If you're thinking about it, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and get the next few, couple weeks, whatever, dialed in to some degree. Keon is extremely talented mechanically. He deserves a spot on a team where he meshes well and enjoys it every day. Zaniel also and I will be looking for someone that is a better fit for us and flexible in which characters they can play and how they can play them. Interested to see how this cookie crumbles, but a lot of people have also kind of called out RKN saying, did you ever just try to adjust your play style to fit in with Keon wanted to play, if it would or could product better results? And then he said, not only would we have been double crafting on Edge from Shipfall for 3 months, but we also started the ALGS split trying to play Edge and we were mid. I'm not going to take any baseless disrespect. You could see DMs from Keon as well, and you could some of these actual DMs from Keon. It's fine. Thank you for wasting this split to let me try with you on Edge. I really do appreciate you trying to make the game fun for me. So you can see RKN was going through the measures of trying to make things work. Things just simply weren't happening. Now, the interesting part of this, there's 2 places people are calling Keon to go. Number 1, Tech had some 1v1 trials where he basically was looking for the next up and coming guy, right? He was looking for the next player to be able to play. And one of these players were Zap. Now, Zap is the guy who won this whole 1v1 tournament, and Tech was using this as a way to see who he wants to play for his next teammate. You also saw some other names in there, like It's Matt. It's Matt, obviously a very well-known Challenger Circuit player. Some of these other guys I recognize, but not as much as Zap and Matt. And so you had one person, I think Tech had actually made a retweet here about the whole dropping, and Tech was saying, bye Zap. He just went through all of these 1v1 tournaments to find his next teammate. Zap wins, and then Tech now realizes that Keon's on the market, and so now we're saying bye-bye to Zap so that we can get Keon in on this as well. So it's pretty funny, and I don't really know how all of this is going to go down, but you've also got another roster to look out for it. Former Optic Gaming. Back in year 2, Optic Gaming actually had a very good run in the group play stages at the World Championship. They did incredibly well. You guys probably remember that domination that Optic had went through in the group stages, where I think they won back to back and then a second place and then won again 3 games. It was insane how good Optic was. Well, Dooplex was a part of that roster. Dooplex eventually had made some sort of retirement announcement, basically saying that he was moving on. His dad needed some help, and so he was going to just be coaching or just kind of be hanging out for a while. Well, it looks like that these boys are back in business. Dooplex had posted he's looking for one with Lou, by the way. So this is former Lanimals roster Lou, or former Lanimals player Lou, teaming up with former Optic player Dooplex for the last chance qualifier LCQ for ALGS Championship and year 4 as well. Looking for a controller fragger. Anybody know a controller fragger? Well, I know someone who's now on the market, now a controller fragger. We will see if that happens. I think Keon obviously would be a pretty interesting fit. And honestly, the thing I like about this roster, obviously I know Lou's got some backlash behind him. everybody's got an opinion about Lou, but when you look at this roster, this almost feels like it's meant to be. Like, you've got Dooplex, the outcast of Optic Gaming, that moved on. You know, you've got Lou, the outcast of Lanimals, that moved on, and they all split up. And then you've got Keon, the guy who just got dropped, the outcast of Sentinels, that's moving on. It's like a roster filled with a bunch of, you know, people that are forgotten about or that are being let go, and they need to come together and build something strong. And I think this would be a really good team. And obviously, I know Tech has got a good roster that you could put on the MeatLovers as well. I'm interested to see what you guys think. Do we need to basically have what do you guys think Keon would be a better fit over on MeatLovers or on this whole, you know, Dooplex Lou squad with his like Dude's Night Out or whatever it's called? I personally think that as much as I root for Tech's team a little bit more, I think Keon would be a better fit on this squad personally. But interested to see what you guys have to say down in the comment section below. Also wanted to mention, coming from VNM Tourneys, these are actually some pretty stacked rosters. Now, Venom obviously has had some really weird scrim ideas and tourneys as well. There's been like a lot of drama in the past that we've discussed, I think, with some of the players, with some of the staff, and people get I heard that they have a bad reputation to some degree on some things, but nonetheless they do at least host some events, and it is a good way to get better. And for a lot of the Challenger Circuit players that are trying to compete against each other, this is a good way to at least get involved to some degree. You could see that Overlooked Entertainment, we're actually placing in 3rd place here. And Overlooked Entertainment, obviously, like a lot of these guys right here, Army Lads, these are all just pickup squads, right? You know, dropped in gaming. Overlooked Entertainment, a lot of people are wondering if this is actually going to be a new roster signing here, which I think is interesting. I personally would love to see more organizations get involved in the Challenger Circuit scene and basically kind of not be so gatekept just by the pro squads. Now, I understand you want to be on that higher echelon and not just a Challenger squad, but it would be nice to see some people get involved in that as well. Also want to mention, just as we wrap the video up, Shops, this guy has the best teammate I've seen in quite some time. This is in the pro LCQ scrims, which you could see that RKM was trying to get involved in, but apparently they're gatekept from it right now because they're not considered an LCQ team quite yet until the split 2 is over. And so this was coming from Shops' teammate. This happened live in these LCQ scrims. This guy absolutely popped off. And that's why I'm always saying, you know, you look at these tweets coming from MeatLovers, there is a lot of good talent in the Challenger scene right now. It doesn't have to be who's the pro player that just got dropped from another, you know, tier 1 pro org, right? You don't always have to go for those guys. You don't always have to poach somebody from another big org. There is a lot of good talent in these Challenger squads that can be picked up, that can be utilized, that can be cultivated. And I think that, you know, Tech is one of those guys who's probably pretty known for that. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Call of Duty scene at all, but there's a guy, Doug Sensor Martin. He is known for getting these Challenger Circuit guys up. I think they just call it the Challengers League in Call of Duty. Gets them up, treats them real well. They start to cultivate very nicely. They become much better players. And then boom, like I think 3 of his teammates this year all got sent to the pro league at some point. Like, it's just such a good scout for talent, and there's so many good players out here that could be utilized. And I would like to see some of these players come up as well and play with the big boys, because we've seen even ESA do that in the past, pick up a lot of people that no one's really I guess familiar with or not believing in as much, and then they become some of the best players in the world. Interested to see what you guys have to say down in the comment section below. Make sure to like the video if you guys did enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel if you guys want to stay up to date all things Apex Legends esports related. Until the next time, I will see you all later, Gators. By the way, I really apologize for the awkward silence in the middle of the video. I thought I was going to edit it out, but I realized I was like, you know, this whole idea was to be able to do it in one take. So just kind of ignore that blooper. We'll hopefully have things a little bit dialed in better in the future. But until next time, peace out. Later, Gators.